You called your dad on our honeymoon.
But let's not kid ourselves. We were still getting to know each other. Hi, my name's Yudhishthra, and this is my wife Pia. We're a husband and wife podcast. Feeling refreshed?
Yeah, especially after coming back from Phuket, for sure. I think it was really, really good holiday. We were in Phuket to celebrate our 2-year wedding anniversary and wanted to go back to the place where we went for our honeymoon. So Cape Sienna, that was the hotel on Kamala Beach.
Kamala
right?
Beach,
Yeah.
Kamala Beach. But I think maybe let's go back a little bit in time and talk a little bit about how we actually ended up in Phuket.
Yeah, you mean like why did we even choose to go back to the same place, right? Because
Yeah.
we had this thing where we wanted to like travel and go to new places.
Yes.
But then while we were thinking like, okay, like what, I can't remember what we were narrowing. Like, we wanted to go to a different island in Malaysia, I believe.
Correct.
And then we thought that I think it's a good place to go back and kind of, I think there's just something about going back to places that you were at, like it's nostalgic.
Yes.
But then I felt that we were going as like very different people.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. And it was quite funny that while we were there, I had so many moments, and we had those conversations whilst we were there as well about how like, hey, remember 2 years ago this, but now this. Yeah. So maybe let's unpack that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about our
Absolutely.
growth and a little bit about how we've changed, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we can share a little bit of a background story behind this. So after we got married, the interesting part was straight after we got married, we said, we better make sure that we're going on a honeymoon. And as we were actually planning for our wedding, you remember, we put
Yeah.
this on top of the priority list,
Yeah.
which was actually booking a place to go for our honeymoon.
I think like we asked someone for an advice.
Yes.
Whilst planning for our wedding, and they told us one thing. They said that as much as you're getting caught up in the whole process, remember one thing: book your damn honeymoon.
Exactly.
Yeah, I remember that.
Exactly. A reminder, anyone's getting married, take that advice.
Book your honeymoon. Or send it to your partner.
Yes.
Yeah, for them to book the honeymoon. But yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, like coming back to like being in Phuket, right? Like
Yeah.
Cape Sienna. What would you say was like, was there a particular moment during the trip that you found yourself like, oh my God, like I've changed so much. I wasn't like this the last time when we were here.
Well, I think the first change, before I talk of the change of myself, the place or the hotel that we went definitely changed.
Yeah, it's evolved.
It has evolved.
Yeah.
It has evolved because they had the policy of, no kids.
kids.
This time, there was, they allow kids.
Yeah, and I think when you ask the person, right, I remember her explaining to you the rationale behind that.
Correct, because she was saying that a lot of couples came there and, eventually
Started making babies.
They started making babies and they had a kid and then they wanted to go back to the place and they
Yeah.
could not. But, I mean, on a serious note of it, what has changed, since the last... You know what, actually, we talk of love, okay? 2 years ago, when we were on our honeymoon, yes, we were married, we were there, but let's not kid ourselves. We were still getting to know each other and sort of adjusting to what we call married life or whatever they would
Yeah.
would term it. But this time around, the connection was very, very different. It is unexplainable.
Yeah. I
Right?
think
Did you feel that vibe?
I understand where you're coming from. I think there's a lot of shame as well that people put, right? Like, for example, like when we got married, we decided to get married, I would say quite soon.
Yes.
Like, after a year, you proposed to me after a year of getting to know each other, then we got married.
Yeah.
So we did have questions, even from like family, friends,
Yes.
like asking you like, okay, why did you decide to put a ring on it like after a year? Because people deem that to be a very short period of time. And I
Correct.
remember at that time, I was very defensive. I was like, oh, how can they ask us that question? But to be very honest, if I put on like a very rational, if I put on my rational cap right now, I think there's some truth in that. 2 years ago, I remembered I was quite hesitant to even say like, no, I don't like that dish. Can we have it this way? Or I
Yeah.
don't want that drink. It was more from a place of like wanting to please your partner. Oh, you just married this person. You just met them. You just want to be your best self. We all have that, right?
Yes.
But this time when we went, I remember I was like, screw it. I don't want that fish. Can we have this? Can we, like
Absolutely.
I remember telling you like, oh my God, darling, like I'm more vocal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not afraid anymore to like say, because I think it comes from building that sense of comfort with someone, right? How about for you?
I think for me has got to be that, as I was mentioning, the element of love and connection was very different then and now itself. I can,
An
But
example?
I think a funny one would be, okay, I don't know what I mean. Well, at that time it was not funny, but maybe
Okay,
now
which
it
one
is.
this?
Do you remember our honeymoon, right? I was actually on the phone,
Okay.
and the first thought I was talking to my
Oh
friend,
my God, yeah.
was having a chat and
Okay.
everything. And then I think another one was I was having a chat with my dad.
You called your dad on our honeymoon.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember you were like, "What are you doing? It's our honeymoon,
I mean, no offense to my father-in-law who's probably watching this episode. Yeah, uncle, love, lots of love. But I mean, I guess it was more about the fact that I was very confused at that point. Like, oh my God, like, is he like bored? Like, is he not having a good time? Like, we're supposed to be like connecting.
Yeah.
Like, why does he need connection elsewhere? So it was more about a reflection of a mirror to like myself. I started thinking that there was something wrong with me, right? But yeah, you're right about that.
On this trip, right? Maybe let's just talk a little bit about your mental headspace.
I'm a totally different person. Like this time going back there, and I think like the biggest example for me was the book I read. So like during our honeymoon, the book that I had with me was this book called Welcome Home,
Okay.
and the book was about dealing with like your trauma, your emotional baggage, and there was a lot going on around that period of time.
Okay.
So I realized like in order for me to like show up fully in the marriage, I had to work on all that stuff that I had, the baggage I was carrying. But this time I was reading a book on, I think I was talking to you about the book on the cycle syncing.
Yes.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it was so different because then I realized like you can't force growth, right? It happens. So at looking back now, I realized like if only I had told myself then it's okay, this will pass. It's okay to be in the thick of something. That was a hard time, like trying to deal with a lot of things. But then I'm out of it now. So that was
Okay.
one of it. So in terms of mental headspace, I am way more present this time. I think at that time it was just
Okay.
after the wedding. You're still unpacking
Yeah.
so much of like what's happening, what happened at the wedding.
Yes,
And
yes.
like we were not, as you said, not so comfortable with each other. So we were also
Yeah.
still trying to like, hey, what's his ick point?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
why am I feeling it's, this time you're just like whatever lah,
Yes.
How about for you, how was your mental headspace?
I think for me it was called a life adjustment. So what do I mean by this when I say a life adjustment? You see, after you get married, right, you are in that phase of a bit of like a I don't know, transition, right? Transitionary phase in life, and you are trying to understand what is marriage. How do you lead a marriage, and what are the steps from there? Because you remember this. This is what I wanted to share. You remember at our wedding, leading up to your wedding, everyone is there. We are there for you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. We are so excited. We are
People
so
you haven't
happy.
seen in like
People
30
you
years.
haven't seen
Yeah.
at the wedding. Leading up to the wedding, at the wedding, and your wedding dinner. And you know what's the most interesting thing? Just right after the next day, you get up and it's cricket silence. And that's when reality has kicked in.
Yeah, shit just got real.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
just got real. So from then and now, 2 years after that, for me personally, I feel I have actually learned so much about being married and marriage as a whole.
Like how to lead, because you're talking about
Yes.
like leadership. Like
Yes.
what do you mean by that? Like how was this any different when we were dating? Like what's the growth in that?
Okay. You see, I believe in a marriage, it's very important to have like a very strong anchor. You know, I think that is something very, very important. And it's also, as much as in marriage, it's a team effort. But there's always, I maybe I'll put it in the way of like a captain, you know, and learning how to lead in a marriage.
Yeah. And I think
You
like
know?
from like a women perspective, that's what we want as well. And there's no shame in admitting that. I think there's a lot of conversations going around about how, you know, it kind of feels like, okay, women, you can't be like submissive, but it's nothing to do with that. It's more about trusting your partner, someone leads, and you're not really a follower. I don't like using that word, but it's about that yin and yang. It's that masculine and feminine dance. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. But I mean, like, talking about growth, like I see huge growth in you in that part of it. And like to add on to it is also like earlier you were talking about like even this conversation right now, like
Yeah.
for me, 2 years ago, honestly, like I tried like peeling your onion. You know, I brought intimacy cards. I brought like, because I'm like, I love getting to know a person from like a very deep perspective. So like, even meeting someone in the first meeting, I always ask them like a very deep question because for
Yes.
me that's how I connect.
Yeah.
But I remember like you were just such a tough egg to crack, right? So then I remember like, okay, I probably have to bring like, I brought this intimacy card
Yes,
deck
I remember
game.
that
Like, yeah, I
very
mean like,
well.
yeah, because I was just like, no, I need to know more about this guy. Come on,
Yeah.
don't tell me about the weather or whatever. I need to know about your childhood. I need to know about those things, right?
Yes.
And I realized that it was really hard in that sense. But now I recall us having that conversation while we were watching the sunset
Yes.
in Phuket, right? You were the one who told me to like, hey, sit down and everything. Let's put everything away. And you told me, and you asked me a question. You were like, how do you feel in the marriage? So I remember that you were the one who actually initiated that conversation. And to me, that's huge growth on your part for me to witness. Like I was so proud of that, you know. And I know talking about emotions or talking about like these things may not be like your comfort zone, but I'm honestly so proud of you because I've seen you really come out of that, you know, and like being very open about your experiences, your struggles, your you know what you're going through. And I think that there's so much of power in that. There's so much of strength, and it comes back to the leadership part. It gives me a lot of, it builds a lot of trust in the marriage, you know, because the mask falls off,
Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
eventually, and you really see the person for who they are. It does
Absolutely.
take time, right?
Absolutely.
And yeah.
Actually, thank you for that. And as much as you're saying of growth on my side, I can see a huge growth on your side. You know, I mean, what's better than being married to a divorce lawyer, right?
Yeah.
You know, but I can see there is so much which what you have evolved as a person. And I mean, I'm going to be very honest. I think when we even got married at the start, I think in terms of our self-awareness, I will be very honest to say, I think you took the lead in that part of it, you know, because as I mentioned, I always was operating in my logical mindset as opposed to my emotional mindset. And I can see how much you have grown in this whole marriage.
Yeah, like
You
in
know?
terms of like what would you say would be the thing?
In a very, very simple way, I mean, I'll put it this way. I think even when we have misunderstandings, you know, the way you handle it,
Yeah.
the way you address it, the way you bring things up, you know, let's just be honest. I think the thing what's interesting, which we can say that we've grown from then and now, is that we are not afraid to voice out what we feel from the heart.
Yeah, but
we
coming
al-
from like a
good way
space, right?
and how we
Yeah.
actually say it and, you know,
Yeah,
put it
like
forward.
learning like healthy coping mechanisms, I guess.
Exactly.
But just to like add on that part, right?
Yeah.
Like one part that I noticed about how I handle issues, I would say, would be I think like in the past I would get triggered, spiral, and then I just don't know how to communicate. Yeah, I probably say the wrong thing, and then that gets you obviously defensive, and then you know we just go in this loop and you just never resolve anything. But I realize now, like of course with a lot of going to therapy, a lot of
Yes.
self work and stuff, I realized that I've learned to express myself better and and understand that nothing good's gonna come out of me speaking to you when I'm in a triggered state, right? An example would be like the one we talked about earlier, about like when you say you called your dad. The truth of it is that you also called your dad on this trip.
Yeah.
Nothing changed, to be
Yeah.
very honest. So the situation was the same. You also called your friend. I remember you were sitting in the balcony.
Yes.
I think I was like walking around, and then I was like, but I wasn't triggered. And then I actually had a moment where I had to ask myself, like, oh my God, this is the same situation, just in a different time. Like, what changed? The truth of it is that we learned how to fill each other's buckets.
Yes.
Because the entire day, I remember telling you, like, hey, can we connect? Can we do something together? So we were doing activities together. So then you kind of know now, okay, the moment like my tank is full, like my love relationship tank is full, then whenever your partner wants to go out and do their own thing, or they want to connect or have a social interaction with someone else, you don't really view it as like a personal attack. There's something wrong with you. That was something that we had to learn. Whereas in our first year, I don't think we had that.
But that's the best and interesting part about marriage, because that's where that's why I believe in a marriage it's a journey. I mean, let's just put something out there forward. And I think one more thing which I feel that we has grown for both of us in 2 years has got to be family boundaries.
Oh, yeah.
Let's be honest. When you get married, I mean, we all have the thing of, big family and everyone and all. Come on, let's be honest. It's actually, I believe in a marriage, we're actually building our unit. And it is very important to strengthen our unit. And that is what I feel that we are currently doing. And I feel that we're doing it well. And we are learning between the two of us. What is boundaries? How do you put forward boundaries?
Yeah. And sometimes maybe what you might deem to be, okay, I may not. So it's also checking in and realizing
and vice
that
versa.
Yeah, we both grew up in very different households. What might seem okay or that's normal for me might be like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing? And vice versa. So I think there was a lot of communication about that. But I think we're better at it now and everything.
So for me, what is very exciting, right? You see, we have done now the stint of 2 years. I'm just really excited to see what is happening for us on the road ahead. And I feel, honestly speaking, one takeaway that personally for me that I've learned in these 2 years has got to be being very open and honest with your partner and actually speaking your mind. Not being politically correct, but actually speaking your mind. Because when you actually speak your mind, let's be honest, within your own self, you will know, am I being honest in what I'm saying or am I not?
Like just trying to keep the peace.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see? And of course, from your partner's standpoint is of course how they receive it. But I always believe in that whatever you say, there's a way you can say it nicely.
Even if it's hard for them
Even
to
if it's
hear.
hard for them to hear, but you're saying what needs to be said.
One thing you love about who you've become.
For me, it would be handling body dysmorphia. So I think 2 years ago, probably so uncomfortable wearing sleeveless tops, just so insecure with my body. But 2 years now down the road, learning to embrace my curves.
For me, it has got to be being able to speak my mind and what I feel and not needing to be politically correct.
One thing you changed that strengthened the marriage.
Learning to communicate with my partner what I exactly feel and also learning how to listen and not jump to solutions straight away.
That's a good one. For me, it was basically learning to handle my emotions, because when you allow your emotions to overtake you, you end up acting in ways that you're not going to be proud of.
One thing you want to leave behind.
For me, it would be speaking kindly even when I don't feel like it.
When I say I'm supposed to do something, I better make sure I do it.
Amen. Oh my God, yeah, that's a good one.
One book for couples that you recommend for couples for growth in marriage.
Okay. For me, it would be Becoming by Michelle Obama. It was so raw, so real. I read it on the first year of marriage. Admire them as a couple.
For me, it would be, I'm going to be honest, I've not read any books on marriages.
Let us know what are the books or the moments that help shape your marriage for the better.
Tell us in the comments, and also don't forget to subscribe.
Here's to the turning points that shaped us.